Hello, this is video 5 of our battery-based sizing video series. This section is going to deal with matching the number of batteries to the load that needs to be operated. There are many factors that determine this. We've already determined a lot of the factors, but the main things for this is what the average daily load is and how many days of autonomy we are needing. And so this next question that it's going to ask us is how many series strings that I have needed. So I have to figure out how much power I'm going to need before I can figure out how many batteries I'll need to match that load. So to start with, let's look at the average daily load, which is 12.5 kilowatt hours per day. And I know that each day I need 12.5. I also know that I am going to need 3 days worth of that. So you take the average daily load and multiply it by the number of days, and that is going to give you your total load that is needed. So let me actually pull a calculator up here real quick and do that math. So I've got 12.5 times 3 days, so 37.5 kilowatt hours is how much total power that I'm going to need for this. Now, this number right here, I can then divide by the number of power that one series string will provide me. So this is where the math that I've already done comes in. I already know that this is an AC number. I use 12.5 kilowatts of AC power each day on average. Over 3 days, that's 37.5 AC kilowatt hours that I need to produce. If I divide that by 7,655.76 AC watt hours, I'm going to end up having a confused math here because this is in watt hours and this is in kilowatt hours. So what I really need to do is change this. We're going to round this up to 6. We're going to change this to a decimal point, because keep in mind that 7,655 watt hours is the equivalent of 7.656 kilowatt hours. So that lets me get rid of these units. And let's see what our math tells us here. 37.5 divided by 7.65. That was 656. Yep. So our answer came up to 4.89. So 37.5 divided by 7.656 came up to 4.89. What that means is I need at least 4.89 series sets of batteries in order to overcome my load. Well, it's not possible to have 4.89 series sets of batteries. I could have 4, I could have 5. And considering this is a minimum number, I have to have at least this many. I need to round it up. So round up. So 5 is our answer. I'll need 5 series strings of these batteries that I've already calculated in order to provide enough AC power to run my average daily load for 3 days. So some of the other questions that's going to want to know about this is then how many batteries do I need to buy? Well, if I've got 8 batteries in each series string and I need 5 series strings, that means that I'm going to need 40 batteries total. All right, so the next question that it asks me is how many AC watt hours can the total system give me over 3 days? Well, if I go back up here, I've already done the math that one series string will give me 7,655.76 watt AC watt hours. So really all I would need to do is take my 7,655.76 and multiply that times 5 that I have in series, because I have 5 series strings. So if I clear this out, maybe I just have to do a fresh 7,655, actually call it 56 times 5 series strings. Means that I should have 38,280. So we'll turn that into kilowatts. So that'd be 38.28 kilowatt hours. So 38.28 kWh. So over 3 days, I should be able to get 38.28 kilowatt hours. And if I go up here and I look, I originally calculated that I only needed 37.5 kilowatt hours. So my system is plenty large, but not dramatically too big. And that's one of the things that you want to watch out for, is there's no purpose in having a system that will allow you to operate for a bunch of extra days. There's no purpose in that. And so that's what this last question is going to ask us, is if I tried to stretch it out over 4 days rather than 3 days, how much power could I get? And so this math is going to look very different because our discharge rates change for 4 days. So let's start with that. Our discharge rate for 3 days was 245 amp hours. Our discharge rate for 4 days would be the C100, so that's 250 amp hours. So we'll come back down here and our math will look like 250 times the number of batteries. Well, I've already figured that I've got 40 batteries. So 40 batteries times, now the reality is that my inverter is not going to allow me to use all of this power. I have an inverter loss. That's what we saw up here, and our inverter was 93% efficient, so 0.93. That is going to tell us over 4 days how many watt hours these batteries could do. So 250 times 40 times 0.93, 250 times 40 times 0.93. It's telling me that I've got, I forgot one other key factor in this. They are a 6-volt battery. So I have to also add in a 6-volt battery. So 55,800. $55,800 watt hours of AC power is what we could get over a 4-day time period. So the last factor that we have to look at this is, in reality, I would over discharge my batteries. I'm only allowed to get 70% of the total capacity. So if I really wanted to know without over discharging my batteries, that's a different answer. And that's one of the things that you have to really pay attention to the question, because this question doesn't specify without over discharging the batteries. Basically what this is kind of looking at is, could I run 4 days at my load? And so if I would take this 55,800 watt hours that I've got here, and I would divide it by the 12,500 that I use per day. Yeah, I could run actually for nearly 4.5 days, if I really was not worried about damaging these batteries, about over discharging them. This was a true emergency. How many days could I actually operate with these batteries? I could actually operate for 4.46, so nearly 4.5 days, if I was willing to potentially damage these batteries. And that's one of the things that you can use to advertise to your customer is, well, sir, this system is sized that it will operate for 3 days without damaging your batteries, but in the event of a true emergency, you could go 4.5 days without recharging your batteries and still operate your loads. Hopefully from this video, it was a little bit longer video, but hopefully from this video you grasped the concept that you have to figure out your total load that is needed for the days of autonomy. You have to know your daily load in order to do that. Once you calculate your total load, you can divide it by how much one series string will give you, and then that will tell you how many series strings, and that will ultimately determine how many batteries that you're going to need to purchase, and you always need to round up. So in the end, your system should be able to handle more than the minimum days of autonomy that was required.